والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The brothers, if you can come on this side, inshallah. Is the barrier for the brothers to pray on this side? It's for the sisters. The sisters are going to come over here. You guys feel free to come here if you want to. For the brothers, please come on this side. If you need to make up this, like pray the salah, you can just go up there, inshallah. Okay. So, as you all know, when I come here and I give a talk, I like to do talks about things that are going to benefit you and me as well. So that way we all can, inshallah, benefit and develop. And this topic I decided to do is something that I have been researching and personally improving and struggling with as well for at least the past 2 years. And it's something that I believe is extremely valuable to master, and I do believe that I can give you some value in this talk. Today's talk is basically going to be about time and time management and how we can really become more productive than we currently are and stay productive, and inshallah as time goes by we learn and accomplish more because of our ability to master the management of our time. So now another disclaimer I want to give you is like you, I am still developing my own personal way of managing time, and you may have your own personal way of managing time. And if this works for you and what you're doing is working for you, please by all means continue what you're doing. I once learned in college, one of my professors told me this, that don't fix what's not broken. Because I used to study for my exams a certain way, and I used to do very well, mashallah. Then I decided to try a different way, and then I was doing very poorly. So my professors are like, don't change your methods. So if you are doing something that is working, you continue, okay? However, if you do find or hear something of beneficial, and you want to add to your own routine, then please, by all means, do that as well. This is not the the final class or final lecture you're going to hear on time, and you probably will hear much more better advice in the future. And if you like that and you want to incorporate that into your lifestyle, by all means, please do that. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us improve our time management and to allow us to benefit from the efforts that we put in. Allahumma ameen. So the first thing I wanted to mention with regard to time is we know our pious predecessors, the scholars and the companions and the Prophet ﷺ, they all valued time. They all had a very high value of time. And Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, he stated that time is like a sword, okay? If you don't cut it, it's going to cut you. And then he said, secondly, applying to yourself, that if you don't occupy it with good, then you're going to fall into evil, into bad things. So what he means by this statement is that time is something that does not hold back for us. It doesn't wait for us. There's no pause in time. Time will continue. The clock will still go, no matter how we're feeling, no matter what we're doing, no matter how busy we are, no matter how tired we are, it's all going to continue. And the warning from him is that we don't want to come to a point in our life when we say so many months have passed, so much time has passed, so many years have passed, and I haven't accomplished the goals that I wanted to accomplish. So time will slip by, and he's basically warning us not to let that happen. Secondly, he's saying that when you occupy your time with good, if you don't occupy your time with good, then it's going to be very easy for shaitan to whisper to us and allow us to cause us to fall into sin. Because, when we're free of time, quote unquote, and we are not doing anything with our time, then the whisper of shaitan is going to enter our mind. So we want to occupy our actions with good deeds. That way, it prevents us from falling into sin. And the scholars of the past had a lot of barakah in their time. For example, Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, in his biographies, they stated that he used to take 12 sessions of study with his instructors every day. And each of that would last about an hour. So that's about 12 hours. On top of that, once that was done, he would review all of his material. So imagine you're studying an hour, and you go home and you review that hour's worth of material. And imagine now he's doing 12 hours of this, and he's studying for maybe 12 hours. So it's like 24 hours that's passed by. Yet he's still able to pray his prayers. He's still able to pray the voluntary prayers. He's still able to eat. He's still able to sleep. He's still able to accomplish so much. And he stated that Allah has blessed his time. So there's a lot of things that we can do to increase the blessing of time for us. And one of them is really understanding how to make the best use of it. So now, I wanted to ask you guys, how many hours are there in the day? Oh, you know the answer. I'm not even going to wait. 24 hours, okay. But now the question is, how many minutes are there in the day? 3,000 minutes? It's 3 times too much. How many minutes are there? It's 1,440. At least you answered, so alhamdulillah. So it's 1,440. Let me ask you a question. What can you accomplish in 1 minute? Throw an answer out at me. What can you do in 1 minute? Huh? Sisters? Can you read a couple of verses of the Quran in 1 minute? You can, right? You can do dhikr, right? You can pay your bills. If you're really hungry, you can eat your food in 1 minute. You can grab a bite in 1 minute. You can drink a coffee in 1 minute, right? You can worship Allah in 1 minute. You can make dua, right? You can smile at somebody and earn reward for that. You can go give your family member a hug, right? You can do so much in 1 minute. So the value of a minute is very, very heavy. The value of a minute is very, very heavy. Now, the goal of all of us should be to always improve ourselves from what we were before, okay? Now, you may see people that accomplished a lot and have accomplished a lot, and you may wonder, how did they do this? And it may be at awe. And the real secret is that it's the time and dedication that they have put in. Now, you don't want to compete, you don't want to say that, you don't want to look at other people and say, and feel disheartened about where you may be compared to them, or feel very happy and accomplished because of your position compared to them. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to always, I don't have my phone, so I apologize. What you want to do, I don't know if he's asking me to raise my voice or not. Can you guys hear me? Okay. What you want to do is you want to always compare yourself against yourself. Okay? If you are in X position today, if you want to gain Islamic knowledge, or you want to gain worldly knowledge, or you want to be better at your business, or whatever it may be, increase your relationships with your friends and families, wherever you are today, you should always be better than this tomorrow. Okay? So as time goes by, you're always getting better and better and better at whatever task that you want, whatever goal that you want. That should be your drive. Now, sometimes a person may come to a time management course and they understand that time is very valuable, and they want to make sure that time isn't wasted, and they go home and they're occupied with the thought not to waste time. Okay? It's very important to know that that's only part of the formula. To understand the value of time is only part of the formula. The other formula is your effort and your goals. Okay? With regards to time, with regards to all of us rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Asr, He says, Wal Asr, Inna al-insana lafi khusr. He swears, he's making an oath, a qasam. Right? He's making a qasam here, an oath. And when he makes an oath, he makes an oath out of his creations. And when he does that, it's usually out of the creations that are very magnificent. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making an oath that, without a doubt, mankind is at a state of loss. There's no doubt about it. All of us, from the day we were born until the day we die, are constantly at a state of loss. Right? We are losing time, and we're losing the ability to have the ability to have time to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's always decreasing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that mankind overall is at a state of loss. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, except those people who have iman, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and those people who do the good deeds, whose actions are good. Just a little side note here is that having iman is important, And doing actions that prove that you have iman is also important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here that except those who have iman and those who do good deeds. Doing good deeds means you have, for Muslims, means you have iman. You're doing good deeds for the sake of Allah. But he's still highlighting that the importance of good deeds. Your actions speak for your iman. Okay? وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And those who advise one another in the truth, and those who advise one another in patience. It has been said that the companions, many of them would, when they would meet each other and greet each other, and say hello, how are you, catch up with one another, they wouldn't leave each other until they recited this surah as a reminder that we're all at a state of loss. And you know that the people who, after we have passed away, when we're asked about how long we spent on this earth, right now it seems like 80 years, 60 years, 70 years, but then at that time it's going to seem like an instant, an afternoon, or something along those lines. If you look back at your own lives, how old are you now? How much of the past do you remember? How much of the past can you experience right now, right? I'm 30-something years old. The past 30 years went like, gone. Next thing I know, I'm going to be 50, 60, 70. So time is just going and going and going. So it's very important to understand this. Now, the understanding of that time is limited for us and that time will pass us is one thing. Now, what do we do with this understanding? How do we apply it? And how do we accomplish what we need to accomplish? So, the goal here is not to worry about wasting time. Don't waste time worrying about wasting time, but rather figure out what to do with your time. So all of us, like I mentioned in the beginning of today's talk, should be always striving to be better. Now, this can be better in many different ways. It doesn't just have to be academically. It doesn't have to be Islamic studies. It doesn't just have to be Islamic studies. It doesn't just have to be studies in the dunya. It doesn't just have to be getting a higher degree from my job and so on and so forth. It doesn't just have to be that. There are a variety of things in your life that are important. And every single one of us has different things that are important to us. Okay? These things that are important to us should be the priorities when we set apart our time. These things that are important to us should be our priorities when we decide how to spend our time. So the most important thing, after understanding that time is something that we're always losing, is to figure out what our goals are. Okay? If we are always wondering and worrying about wasting time, and we're not really having an end goal, then in many cases, it's going to be a waste of time. And I'll give you an example. My personal example, don't laugh at me. For the past 10 years, I have been trying to memorize the Quran with the goal of memorizing the Quran for the past 10 years. But I didn't have any specific regimen to follow or any specific goal, how many years I'm going to plan to before I finish memorizing the Quran. I didn't have any of that. So I'm memorizing, and in 10 years I've memorized 10 juz. Right? And you know people who really have a regimen and a structure and a plan, they can memorize it on average 4 years. And even more than that. Some people memorize it in a couple of months. Allah blesses them with an amazing memory. Some people memorize it in 1 year, 2 years. But there are instances where people have succeeded. And the reason why is they have a goal in mind. You understand? So if you want to accomplish something and you have a goal, before you go ahead and do what you need to do and try to figure out what you need to do for that goal, figure out what the end is. Start with the end first. So now you say, okay, in this amount of time, I should have accomplished this. I should have finished this. For me to accomplish this, what do I have to do in the smaller segments of time? Okay, you break that down and you stay consistent in that, and inshallah by the time you reach your destination, the goal, you will have done what you wanted to do. Okay? So it's very important to set a goal for ourselves. So ask yourself sincerely, what are your goals? Right? We all have goals, and like I said, for every single one of us, these goals are different. It's not the same. Okay? And then figure out what you need to do to reach that goal. Okay? Maybe you want to make X amount of dollar per year. So what do you need to do to reach that position? Or maybe you want to memorize X amount of verses per year. What do you need to do to reach that position? And that has to be something that you are being consistent on. Okay. Let's talk about some of the scholars in the past. Imam An-Nawawi, for example, rahimullah, right? At a young age, he was known to not play with other kids. He just didn't want to play with other kids. And when they insisted, hey, come play with us, or when they tried to force him, he would be very unhappy about that, because to him, playing was a waste of time. At a young age, up to 10 years old, he understood that he has a limited amount of time. He didn't want to waste it. And for him, his goal was learning for the sake of Allah and eventually teaching. That was his priorities. But if you look at Imam Abu Hanifa rahimullah, even though he was one of the greatest scholars that we know, and most of the Muslim Ummah follow his school of thought, and despite being a teacher and a person that gives da'wah, his priorities were this. He had a family. He made sure that at least once a week, he spent his time with them only. He had a business. And his goal was at least some time of the day, he would attend his business. He would teach. So he had to make sure that at least some time of the day, he would teach. So you see how his priorities are different. He has a little bit more priorities than Imam Nawawi rahimullah. If you want to just count the different things that he wanted to do, he wanted to accomplish. Likewise, we all really do have different priorities, okay? For some of us, it may just be studying and focusing and making sure we get good grades. For others, it may be, I got to go to work, make sure I do well at work. I got to learn more about Islam to get closer to Allah. I got to take care of my wife. I got to take care of my kid. Or I got to take care of my husband. I got to take care of my parents. These are all priorities in life, okay? So all of these need to have a certain amount of your time. In order to properly manage your time, instead of trying to figure out when to do what, instead of winging it, if we're structured, we'll be more successful in what we're trying to achieve. So let's keep that in mind as we talk today, okay? Similarly, with many of the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ, they also had very, 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 very busy lives, and very lives full of different things that they did. The Prophet ﷺ, he took care of his family. He spent time with his family. He spent time enjoying with his family. He prayed. He led a whole nation. He was a judge. He was the messenger of Allah. He was giving da'wah. So he did accomplish all of that. And if you look at his life and you look at the seerah, you see that he was very structured. He had a very structured way of doing things, and he had a routine that he would follow on a normal basis. Okay, so for you have to identify what is important to you, and from there you're going to structure it. Now, before we talk about the structure, this is just one recommendation. You may learn your own way of doing things. You may have your own structure. By all means, do that. But this is just a recommendation for those of us who may not have. And this is something that I find value in. Okay. The first and foremost, before we figure out how to organize our lives, is when we make our goals and we make our intentions and we make our plans for the future about ourselves, we have to make sure that we include, or that we are including our worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this. Okay? Number one, our goals for the future must be things that are not displeasing to Allah. We must work our best to do things that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now, we need to submit ourselves and go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Him for help. Okay? Ultimately, none of us have power to do anything, unless if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it. Is that correct? It's true. None of us have the power to do anything unless if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it. And when we recognize our goals, and we have certain things that we need to accomplish, first and foremost, we need to make sure that we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Alim. We make sure that we are asking Allah for His help. And this is, when you have the help of Allah in doing something, you'll notice a difference in your activity. Okay, if you're memorizing Quran, for example, and you're having a difficult time, and then you make sincere dua to Allah and you continuously do it, you're going to notice that it's much more easier to memorize Quran. Because now you're building a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're building a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the most important things in all of our lives. is to build that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because, yes, we have to be successful in this life, but more importantly, we have to be successful in the next life, correct? That's much more important than that, okay? Now, when you make dua about something, when you're making du'as about something, that's how you know it's important to you. You understand? You can say that, oh, memorizing Quran is very important to me, or learning Arabic is very important to me, or working out is very important to me, but a litmus test about that is, are you making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about it? To ask you, right? For the brothers and sisters who are waiting to get married, right? You make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about marriage, correct? And this is something that you really, really desire. So this is like an example that you really want something, you make dua to Allah. When your health is not as well and you're feeling not well, you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for health, right? This is very important. So these goals should be important to you as well. These goals should be at that level where you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This dua that we're doing is a form of worship. Don't forget this. Just making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a form of worship. Okay? Because what we're doing ultimately is, and mankind has this thing where they don't like to submit to other humans, right? Because it's just an ego thing. It's not a bad thing, unless they're forced to. You don't want to go to pay your ticket unless the judge makes you pay it, right? For example, you don't want to pull over unless the cop forces you to pull over. We don't do that. But when we go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we go willingly. We go willingly. We submit to Him willingly. And this dua is a way of submitting to Allah. You're essentially saying that I have no power and I understand this and I acknowledge this and I come to you, O Allah, O Creator of the heavens and the earth, and I ask you for help. And this is a type of worship. And this is a type of worship that will get you closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's nothing that you cannot ask Allah about. I mean, granted it's not something haram, right? So include your goals in your worship. Include your goals in your dua. When you're asking Allah for things, ask Him about your goals. Ask Him to help you achieve your goals. And inshallah, it will be that much easier. And with that, with the dua, where do we make most of our dua? It's important to know when to make dua as well. Where do we make most of our dua? In the salah, very good. In the salah, right? So in the place of sujood is when we are the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should be making our dua at that time. And there are many other times that we can make dua, during tahajjud, for example, right? On Fridays, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has picked a time on Friday where He answers the dua. But we don't know which time it is. So we put our effort in and we make dua to Him at all times on Fridays, okay? Some of the scholars said is when the Imam sits between the khutbah or shortly before Maghrib. So those are times to make dua. When the rain is coming down, that's the blessings coming down from Allah. You know, each raindrop is being brought down by an angel, right? So this is when you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So know when to make dua. So now let's talk about salah. Salah is so important in success that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about success for us, He mentions the first thing is salah. Which surah is this? Surah Mu'minun. Okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that verily the believers are going to be successful. Okay? الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ, those that in their salah have khushu'. That's the first thing He says. Those in their salah, they have khushu'. So when He's talking about success, He actually lists a few things there. He says, the first thing He mentions was the salah. The second thing He mentions is that those who stay away from laghu, which is doing things that waste time. So stay away from things that waste your time. That's another formula for success. And then He says, those who pay the zakah. So now you are doing the things that He has commanded to you to be obligatory. You have to do this. And then He says, those who guard their privates. Meaning that they are staying away from what He has prohibited them from, right? So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us how to be successful. And when we are taking this formula into account, the reason why, if you think about it, this will bring us success. In the salah, if we have khushu', right? Every time we're praying, we're getting closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every time we're doing this, we're staying farther and pushing ourselves away from sin, from doing evil things. So it's changing us to be a better person. When that happens, more angels come around us and less the shaitan whispers to us. The power of the shaitan goes down. So their ability to force us or make us fall into sin goes down. Their ability, if they can't make you sin, they'll make you do something else. They'll engage you in activities that are halal, but still waste your time. Activities that are allowed, but still waste your time. So the more you increase your khushu and salah, the more you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the less impact these shaitan is going to have on you, and the more impact that the angels will have on us. And the same goes with doing the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fulfilling His commandments, and the same goes with staying away from what He has prohibited us from. This is very important. So for us to be successful, if you want to be successful, focus on the salah. The first thing. Make your salah the best that you can, and you're going to see it's going to have an effect on us. It's a real effect. So this is the initial steps. First and foremost, identify your goals. First and foremost, understand time is very valuable. Second, identify your goals. Third, that we go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Him for help. Because ultimately we are helpless and only He can help us. And you'll be amazed about how well you will do just because you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm sure you have instances in your life when you have lived this. Okay? Alright. Now we'll talk about a little bit of more well, I don't want to phrase it, but this is the rest of the talk today. It can be applied to Muslims and non-Muslims, and a lot of the studies that you can do regarding time management will be from the non-Muslims. So they will tell you how to manage your time. It's because this is how they make their wealth. They understand time is money. You've heard of that before, and they use that time to make their wealth. So when I'm talking about these points, I've taken about 10 of them that I find to be the most valuable personally. Again, like I said, you may find other points that are more valuable, but feel free to implement this in your lifetime. Okay. So this next point is to organize your time. So you have your goal, you know what the end goal is, you have a time set that you're going to accomplish this end goal, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're focusing on your salah, you're increasing your khushu, now you have to organize your time. Okay? And there's a couple of ways to do it. And the first way, which is something beautiful in Islam, is organize your daily tasks around the salawat, around the prayers. Right? You have 5 daily prayers. You can organize your tasks to be completed before each prayer and after each prayer. Make the prayer time unwavering. Meaning, don't let the time pass before you pray. As soon as the time comes in, unless it's for like Isha, which you can actually delay. But let's say for the other salawat, as soon as the time comes in, you want to pray it. You keep this stable. These are your pillars now of your days. You keep these stable, now you can revolve everything else around those prayer times. If you don't keep these prayer times stable, then whatever you want to accomplish around the prayer times are not going to be stable. You understand? If every day you pray your asr at the time when it comes in, and you're rigid amongst that, and you're not wavering, then whatever task you're going to do before or after asr is also going to stay rigid, for example. But if you say, oh, asr came in, I still have time, I'm going to wait a half an hour, I'm going to wait 15 minutes, I'm going to wait 20 minutes, and then eventually time's just going to keep going before you're praying asr really late, you don't have enough time to accomplish what you wanted to do, maghrib's coming in, and you got to move on. Okay? That's one of the most convenient way for us to do it. Now, free your mind from your daily tasks. Okay? Now, you can make weekly tasks, you can make daily tasks, you can make monthly tasks, whatever is convenient for you. But whatever you do, free your mind from it. You write it down. So, you want to have a book, or a daily planner, or a diary, any book. It doesn't have to be a special book that costs $20 that has all the dates on them. The simpler the better, because you can write the date yourself. For example, you want to use this to write down what you need to do. So what I would recommend is every night, if you plan on a daily basis, or if you plan on a weekly basis, do it once a week. Every night for the next day that's coming, you pick the most important tasks for you of that day. Okay? Whatever it may be. I have to make sure I read 1 page of Quran. I have to make sure I play with my kids. I have to make sure I give my parents a hug. I have to make sure that I do my homework. Whatever those tasks are that are important to you, you dedicate a specific time slot for that. Okay? And I mentioned you can do it around the salah time, or you can even be more detailed than that. You can detail your day every hour, every half an hour, every 15 minutes. You can go as much depth as you need. Okay? So you write this down so you don't have to keep thinking about it and remembering it. Okay? And instead of using your phones to write this down, because we're going to ignore it, take the book, write it down, and make sure that you accomplish what you want to do the next day. You pick the time slots and don't change that time. Okay? We'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay? Okay. Start with the most important thing of the day for you. The morning time is when we are the most, for most of us, so a lot of us prefer, some of us prefer at night time. I used to think I was a night person, but no. Morning is the time to do things. Morning is the time to get things done. The most important things of your day, the most important tasks of your day, try to get that done ASAP. Okay? For example, if my important task was to memorize a couple of verses of the Quran, would it be easier for me to memorize in the morning before I go to work, dedicate some time, or after I come back from work? What do you think? Or school? Huh? After work or before? Before. Why? Because my mind is fresh. My mind is open. It's clear. It has nothing has occurred yet. There's nothing that's making me worried for the day. As opposed to after work, I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. I don't want to do anything. So I prefer getting up early, getting my things done, and after work, I don't have to worry about it. So similarly, a lot of the most successful people that you may read about get up very early in the morning. I've read about people that get up as early as at 3:30, right? This is I can't say who. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's one of the CEOs or the founders of Virgin Atlantic or something like that, one of these big companies. And he said that if I wake up after 3:30, that's enough sleep for me. I get up and do my stuff. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he stated that you don't need more than 6 hours of sleep, and if you do, sleep faster. Right? That was his thing. So a lot of the most wealthiest people on this planet, they get up early in the morning. They get up before anybody else. And you know this is part of Islam, right? We all get up at Fajr time, right? And many of us get up even before Fajr time to pray Tahajjud. This is something that is important in our lives, important in our religion. So something that we shouldn't overlook. That morning time is the most important time. I had a student once. I asked on the exam. I said, how can you implement what you've learned in your lives? And her answer was, there's not enough time. Okay, so I wrote on the test, get up after Fajr and stay up. so then that's a great advice. You get up at Fajr and you stay up. Okay, because if you look at the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, he said that we shouldn't sleep before Isha. He's something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. That we shouldn't sleep before Isha, and after Isha we shouldn't talk. Why? Because we should be going to sleep, so that way we can wake up early. Okay, the early time is the best time. If you really have goals that you want to accomplish, try getting up early, staying up after Fajr, okay? And dedicating that time. Nobody's going to distract you. Your family's probably going to be sleeping, right? Your kids, if you have kids, are probably going to be sleeping. Your parents may be sleeping. So you have that time to yourself, no distractions. Your friends are sleeping, okay? No distractions. Okay. And the next point is discipline. Discipline is something that, man, I have a tough time with. I'm not going to lie. Discipline is so hard. But we have to be disciplined, okay? When we set these times and we structure our day to accomplish these tasks, if we're not disciplined to do it, then we're going to mess up, okay? But keep in mind, you're going to mess up. It's going to happen. All of us are going to fall. All of us are going to mess up. When a kid falls, what does he do? He gets back up. That's it. We do the same thing. We get back up. Okay? We may get up in the morning and we say, I have all these goals. I wasn't able to accomplish all this. It's okay. It's okay. The problem is when you stop attempting to achieve your goals. That's when the problem arises. The problem is not in failure. And you know many people that are very successful say this. They don't say that when you failed, that's your moment of failure. No. They say that when you quit and you stop attempting, that's your moment of failure. That's when you fail. And all the most richest people, they've failed many times. That's the recipe. Fail, and learn from your failures and until you succeed. Similarly, everything we do, every goal that we have that we want to accomplish, don't be disheartened if you fail it. But be disheartened if you quit. That's very important. I've known so many people who want to accomplish so much, but once they hit failure, they just give up. You can't. You can't. You have until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has deemed that you're going to pass away to keep trying. So you keep trying and don't stop. So that should be part of your discipline. That, okay, I may have messed up today, no problem. I'll pick it up tomorrow. And I'm going to do better, inshallah. You learn from the mistakes that you make. So the couple of tips I'm going to give you for discipline, and you can have your own tips, like I said, and you can change this and you can add more to this. Number one is, one of the main things is procrastination prevention. You want to avoid procrastination. Right? Procrastination is a problem. One of the things that I like to use personally when it comes to procrastination, I know if I have something to do and I don't want to do it, for some reason this works. I don't know why. I count back from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go. We get it done. I don't know why it works for me. It works. If it works for you, try it out. Okay? That's just one little tip about procrastination. Preventing procrastination is important. Know that your future self is going to mess you up. That's very important. Know that your future self is going to mess you up. Okay? What do I mean? For example, if you want to memorize a verse of Quran today, and you wake up early in the morning, and you say, you know what? I'm tired. I'm going to nap now. I'll do it after work. What's going to happen after work? Your future self is going to say, you know what? I'm tired. I'm going to do it in the morning. Okay? So you want to identify things that make you procrastinate for that goal. Okay? Then you want to nip that in the butt. So now if your problem is you're tired in the morning, what's the solution to that? What's the solution to that? If you're tired in the morning? Sleep earlier. There's other solutions too. I'll get to that inshallah. So that's one of the solutions that you can implement. Okay? What I like to implement, it's kind of silly, that I like to give myself, I'm not saying this is the good thing to do. I like to tell myself, if I get up and I do my thing that I need to do, I can relax for a few minutes by myself. I can do something I like to do, a hobby that I like to do. And that kind of bribe myself to get up. Right? Then stay up and do my task and get my task done. And when my task is done, I reward myself. That's a type of way of preventing procrastination. Okay? So if you tell yourself you're going to reward yourself, and you're really gonna reward yourself for accomplishing your goal, that may help you do it. Okay? But don't reward yourself all the time. Then it's gonna have no value. All right? You have to be a little bit disciplined. Okay? All right. Try to remind yourself of what kind of sadness you'll be in if you don't accomplish your goal. And try to remind yourself what kind of happiness you will be in if you do accomplish your goal. That's a very important thing. Remember I said that end goal is very important. If you see yourself at the end and you see yourself very happy with what you accomplished, it's going to motivate you. Or if you see yourself failing at what you tried to accomplish, it's going to push you also. Another tip that is very important is an accountability partner. Okay? Accountability partners are very helpful. And it could be anybody. It can be your spouse. It can be your friend. It can be your family members. Maybe two friends are trying to accomplish their own certain goals. But they can't get up in the morning, for example, or they can't stick to their goals of the day. So they are accountable to each other. Okay? Maybe you can find a teacher that you're accountable to. Okay? Me personally, I have to have somebody I'm accountable to. Some people are self-starters. Some people can do things on their own without anybody, standing behind them and whipping that whip, right? Some people need somebody to say, hey, what are you doing? I'm that type of person. I need somebody to stand behind me and say, hey, get your act together. Okay? So I have an instructor that meets me in the morning, every morning, via internet. And we talk and we get things done. Very important to have somebody like that in your lifetime. And you can have your spouse, you can have your brother, you can have your sister, you can have your friends be this type of person in your life. I remember when I was in college, a friend of mine, we used to come once a week and review Quran with each other. Once a week, we would sit down next to each other and just recite Quran. And it was a very productive time in my life because I know I was accountable, but I had to reach this. Because like I said, there's a goal now, right? Next week I'm meeting with him. I have to accomplish this much. So I have to now dedicate and make sure I do this. Without a goal in mind, you're going to go 10 years, you're only going to memorize a juz a year. All right? So that's the thing. Have that goal in mind, okay? Number 4, did I go to number 3? Yeah, number 4. Number 4 is very important. See, shaitan wants us to be as least productive as possible. If shaitan cannot make us do sins, it's going to try to make us least productive as possible. So one of the things shaitan is going to say to us is, you have to perfect what you're going to do. That goal that you want to accomplish, it has to be perfect. So you spend your time and your energy trying to perfect it, and by the time you realize that X amount of time has passed, you're missing out on other things. You're spending more time trying to perfect something when it doesn't have to be perfected. You understand? Settle for good enough. Settle for this is good enough. It's better than nothing. Right? If you can perfect it, by all means. But don't stop yourself, because shaitan's going to say, oh, you're not going to be able to perfect this. You're never going to be able to read and understand this chapter of this book. Right? You're never going to be able to memorize these verses perfectly in that amount of time. And that's going to be a type of way shaitan prevents you from doing something. And you don't want that to happen. Another thing is, you're going to start doing something, but because shaitan is keep telling you, perfect it, you're never going to finish it. You're never going to finish it. So settle for good enough, come back to it, another day, put it on your schedule, on this day I'm going to come back and perfect it then. Okay? If you can perfect it at the time, go for it. But don't waste your time trying to achieve something that you need another time to do, another day to do. Okay? All right. Now another very important thing, number 5. Differentiate between what's important and what's not important. Okay? Let me ask you a question. If somebody texted you right now, what would you do? What would you do? Nothing? Check it right away. Raise your hand if you check it right away. All right? Okay. Is that important? Maybe. But 99% of the time, is it?
No.
It's not, right? Yeah. So what about when somebody emails you? You know it's important. They're going to text you over and over and over and over. They're going to call you over and over and over. Okay, now it's important. Now it's an emergency. But besides that, somebody texts you, somebody emails you, somebody calls you. Can that be answered later?
Yeah.
It can. So the thing is, when this happens, they're going to distract you, not the person. I'm talking about these are the things shaitan does, right? To distract you. Sometimes I find it's very interesting that when I'm trying to do something that is pleasing to Allah, so a distraction occurs right away. Has that ever happened to you? A distraction comes out of nowhere, right? The shaitan's watching you, and they want to stop you from doing this. So what you need to do is understand that emails, texts, and cell phone calls, they're not as important as we may think they are. Okay? The most important thing I mentioned to you already. What is the most important thing? What are your most important things? You should already know by it. We'll already know it. What is it? You don't have to know what it is now, but what do I mean when I say what's the most important thing? It's your
ibadah, your worship.
Okay, your worship. Very good. But in terms of personal growth and time management, what's the most important thing? Okay. Maybe I'm not asking the salah. You're right. You're absolutely right. Worshipping Allah, making the salah. You're right. That is very important. After that, what did I say? You have to have what? A goal. have a goal. Okay. So that's after everything you mentioned, which is 100% correct. The most important thing is your goal. If that call or that text or that email is not going to help you accomplish that goal that you said, in this time period I need to accomplish. In this time period I have to read this chapter and understand this before class tomorrow. Or in this time period I need to exercise and work out. Or in this time period I need to spend specifically with my family members. If that call is not going to help you accomplish that goal, then you don't need to take it right now. Very important. You don't need to take it right now. Because when you do that, when somebody calls you, I know a lot of my friends get upset. They text me, they call me, I don't reply back. It's not to be rude. When you do that, you are at their mercy. You understand? Imagine right now I got a phone call and I pick up my phone and I start answering my text. Who am I at the mercy of? The person that's texting me, or the person that's calling me, or the person that's messaging me. I'm at their mercy. I have to do what they want on their time. They want me to respond to them on their time, I'm going to respond. This is what happens when you pick up the phone right away. You wait. You don't need to do it right now. As a matter of fact, in your daytime, you should schedule 3 or 4 times, 15, 20 minutes of the day, each time, that you're going to check your phone, that you're going to check your social media, that you're going to check your emails, that you're going to check you give the calls back. And only those times do you use your phone. Do you use your social media? Do you check this? Only those times. And you're going to see that now that because you are only dedicating those times to do it, you'll have room to do so much more. Many of us get up early in the morning. What is the first thing that we do? Huh? Go for a walk? Go to work. Yes, okay. Sometimes, before that, what do we do? How about on the way to work? What are we doing? Checking the phone, right? Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and whatever, video games, whatever it may be. We're all doing that. Now, I'm not saying you have to abandon all of that. And then, if you can stop it, you'll find your life to be much more fruitful in terms of your time. But I'm saying, dedicate a certain time of your day to do that. So that way you don't waste your brain power that you can use for something else more important, something that's important. So differentiate what's important and what's not important. And for your goals, like I said, don't make your goals only to be something that is academic or something that is going to help you become better at your business or your job or whatever. That shouldn't be your only goal. Your goal should also include time to have fun with your family. Your goal should also include time to spend with your family, time to just relax by yourself, time to do a hobby. That's all important things. Okay? And for every single person, the amount of time they need is different. So what you do is you dedicate in your book when you're going to watch whatever show you watch, when you're going to play that video game, or when you're going to go exercise. Right? You dedicate that time for you, so that way you do it and you don't feel that you're missing out and you're dissatisfied. What time is Isha Salah? 8:30? Oh man. Okay. I'm going to try to speed it up, inshallah. We're almost done. Okay. Number 6 to prevent procrastination is to break your goals into smaller chunks. Okay? Students, people that are trying to learn things, people that are trying to accomplish a big goal in their career. Okay? Instead of, a lot of students, I did this too, we used to do all-nighters. Instead of doing something like this, you break your task into smaller parts and you do it consistently. See, the Prophet ﷺ said something along the lines that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the act that is the most pleasing to Allah is the one that is most consistent. Okay? Your one night of tahajjud praying all night long is not as good as you praying 2 rak'ah of tahajjud every single day. You understand? 2 rak'ah will take you 5-10 minutes. Right? 5-10 minutes. And if you do that every single day, that's better than you praying all night. 10 rak'ah, 20 rak'ah, whatever it may be. It's better for you. So similarly, in your goals, you take your goals, you break it into chunks, and you stay consistent in it. Okay? Don't say, I'm going to spend all day today doing this one thing. You're gonna drain yourself out. Okay. Now the next point is take a break. Okay? Taking a break is very important. We have one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. We know that he used to be known to pray all night and fast all day. And when the Prophet ﷺ asked him, do you do this? He said, yes. I'm paraphrasing. And he said, do not do this. Right? He said, sleep. He said, pray and then sleep. Pray some part of the night and then sleep. Even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that. And he said, fast some days and don't fast other days. Okay? And he said that just do it 3 days a month. Fast 3 days a month. And that's going to be like you fasted your whole life. You know why? Because each day counts as 10 times. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards us 10 times more. And so by doing this 3 days a month, it's as if you're fasting 30 days every month. And it's like your whole life if you do it every month. So he's giving him an example. But Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, no, I can do more. I told him I can do more. Then he said, I was disciplined. And the Prophet ﷺ said to I forget what the next, fast 3 days out of the week. He said to fast 3 days out of the week. And Abdullah ibn Umar, he was strong. He said, I can do more. And you know what he said? He said, then I was burdened. Because then the Prophet ﷺ told him, fast half the year. Meaning fast every other day. There's many narrations of this hadith. And why he said I was burdened is because it would have been enough for him to just fast 3 days a week. But now when he's older, that every other day is very hard for him. Right? He doesn't want to break or stop what the Prophet ﷺ told him to do. He said fast the fasting of the Prophet Dawood. And he asked him, what's that? It's every other day. So take a break. Our body needs the break. The Prophet ﷺ said, in the same hadith, he said, your body has a right over you. Your eyes have a right over you. Your guests have a right over you. Your wife has a right over you. Okay? So everybody has a right. So you need to take a break from your work and put time in the day of when to take the break. For me personally, it's after work. Remember I said I can't do things after work. I'm tired. Well, I can spend time with my kid. I can spend time with my wife. I can spend time with my family. That's when I do my fun stuff. Before work, I do the stuff that's hard, that's mentally draining for me. Okay? All right. Number 8, say no. And this goes along to what I said regarding the text. When people come to you and they ask you to do something on their behalf, or need your time, or take some of your time, it's okay to say no. We don't always have to say yes. Because if you say yes to them, then you're saying no to something else. You're saying no to something else that's important to you. So you are allowed to say no, don't feel bad about them. In fact, you can say, hey, I am busy at this time, I have an appointment. You have an appointment with yourself, right? You have to accomplish your tasks. I will meet you on this day. Schedule a time for them in your calendar that you're going to do what they need you to do, or hang out with them, or whatever it may be. So you can do it in a nice manner without being rude. Number 9, delegate, okay? If you have the ability to delegate your tasks to other people, do it. As a matter of fact, the people that I know that are most successful, they always tell me the same thing: delegate your tasks. I'm like, I can't delegate to anybody. I don't have anybody to delegate to. So you can hire somebody to delegate, okay? You have a menial task to do at your house, mow the lawn, hire somebody, right? Fix the car, you want to fix it yourself? By all means. But you want that time to do something else? Hire somebody, okay? Ask your family, ask your friends, whoever it may be. If you are a boss, ask your employees. If you're a manager, ask those who you are in charge of. Okay, delegate your tasks to others. The most important tip for you and me, the most important tip, and I already mentioned this. What do you think it is? Sorry, not the most important tip. We mentioned the most important thing, but one of the most important tips. And I already mentioned it. What do you think it is? The last thing that I think everybody should do, and that all the people that are successful do. What is it? They get up early. Get up early in the morning, okay? That is the final thing I'm going to say to you, that the earlier you get up, the more time you'll have to yourself, the more clear your mind is, the more stronger you're going to feel, okay? And you're going to be able to accomplish a lot, okay? Now, if you have trouble getting up early in the morning, let's say you want to pray tahajjud, okay? One of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is what? You know he would pray tahajjud every night. What was one of his sunnahs to help him stay strong for that tahajjud? What was it? What did he do? Okay, sleep early is one. What's another thing? The nap, okay? The midday nap, all right? That midday nap, the Prophet ﷺ said, is going to give you strength during your qiyamul layl, during your tahajjud. And he said that shaitan doesn't take that nap. He doesn't take that nap. So if you're having difficulties getting up in the morning, take a nap. Not an hour, 2 hours. I'm literally saying 15, 30-minute nap. And in the morning when you wake up, you're going to feel that strength because you napped. Napping is very important, okay? So I'll end here, inshallah, because Salah is going to come. And inshallah, in the future, we're going to continue along this theme where I talk about how to be as productive as we can as Muslims. I think we're going to focus more on being students of knowledge and how to be better students of knowledge in the upcoming sessions that we have, inshallah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again to allow us to understand the benefit of time and allow us to attain our goals, and that He help us in attaining our goals. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.